Well, hello everyone. Welcome to the final Emergence Mentorship session of the year. This session's topic will be on keeping my head and heart, the art of being an artist with Shari Ulrich, Deirdre Morgan, and Krystle Dos Santos. My name is Jean, and I am the digital marketing strategist here at Emergence. I am filling in for Catherine today, as her father has recently passed away. So we are sending our love and support to her and her family. So before we get started, I would like to acknowledge that we are on the traditional and unceded territories of the Coast Salish people, the Tsleil-Waututh, the Squamish, and the Musqueam nations. And I would also like to acknowledge that we are living through a time of unprecedented global awareness centered around the historic and lived experiences of people of color everywhere. And we are very grateful for the support of Creative BC and the province of British Columbia and our host organization, Red Chamber Cultural Society, for making all of these sessions possible. Now, before we dive right into it, I would just like to get into some housekeeping. So we are streaming this live on our Facebook page. I suggest that everyone remain on mute to reduce the background noise while speakers are online. If you need to leave briefly, just turn off your video until you return. And we welcome questions from all of our participants, and there will be a special Q&A session, interactive session sometime later. And the breakout room sessions will allow you to ask your mentors more questions. And during the open participation panel, you can use the raise hand function in Zoom if you'd like to ask a question. And you can use the chat function to send questions as well to everyone, or make comments and say hi to everyone. All right, so there's no, okay, morning, good morning, everyone. So let's just jump right into it with the panel discussion. I would like to first start off with introducing our guest mentor for today, Shari Ulrich. Shari is a singer, songwriter, and multi-instrumentalist who has been winning hearts around North America with her voice, sublime songs, and onstage charisma since the 1970s. From her time with the legendary Pied Pumpkin to the Hometown Band, and on as a solo artist, her career has resulted in 25 albums to date. Along the way, she has garnered 2 Juno Awards and several nominations, an induction into the BC Entertainment Hall of Fame, and a 2014 Canadian Folk Music Award for English Songwriter of the Year. Shari tours much of the year as a soloist, in a trio with her daughter Julia Graff, and in a variety of well-known ensemble. Shari also produces and hosts Vancouver's Songbird Noir series for 23 years for the Songwriters Association of Canada. Please welcome Shari Ulrich.
Wow, I'm feeling pretty darn good about myself right now. So am I launching? Am I talking now?
You are talking now.
Okay, all right. I found in preparing for this that it was tricky to stick to the topic because I just wanted to tell my entire story, which is the best way that I can talk about being an artist. I've never specifically talked about being an artist. I've just been being one, which to me is not necessarily any different than just being a person and going through life. It's all one. I came to it, to my mind, kind of late in that I was just sort of wandering around the world trying to figure out what my path was in life. And I am embarrassed to say that I tended to pick up whatever my current boyfriend was doing. that happened to be a musician at some point in my when I was about 20. And that's when the light bulb went on that music was something that I had a gift for that I didn't even really realize because it was always a part of my life. And um, I tend to think that everything stemmed from just being born with a good ear. That was it, you know. Um, and so my life since then has been a matter of finding the ways to serve with that gift. And as far as I'm keep trying to make sure that I'm serving the subject here. Um, but it's easiest if I just talk about my path. Um, so early on, I took violin in grade school, so I learned music early on, and so when I discovered it again, I started playing the violin again and picking up other instruments and learning them. I was a long way from being an artist as far as I define it in terms of creating original work. But I did in the first trio that I was in, which was the Pied Pumpkin. I had all the room in the world to play, and to improvise, and it taught me about being completely present on stage and being in the moment in a very Zen way, which was a huge gift that continues to serve me. And then I went into a band called the Hometown Band that had big label support and big touring, and we were touring with Valdi. And when we became a band by ourselves, and I was the front person, it was very confusing because I didn't know how to represent a band of guys who didn't really feel like I represented them well. I didn't know how to be myself. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know any of that. But I felt the pressure of trying to, all the pull that I was getting from the label and the band members. And it was a very confusing time. And when I went solo, then that was my opportunity to figure out who the hell I was and what I wanted to do. And that's when I started writing. And from that point on, it's been a just the journey that will never end. And as I find my way as a writer, which I feel like even after all of these albums and all these songs, I still feel like I'm just getting started. Um, and I have a lot of philosophies about what being an artist is and what making music is, but it's not. I always circle around to that. Once I realized it wasn't about me, that when I was singing a song to people on stage, that what I was honoring was this amazing thing that music is. I am so in awe of it, and never lose that sense of its power and its magic, and it's just something that I'm so compelled to want to share. But in that moment that I'm creating that music in front of people, which is kind of a weird thing to begin with, we're doing this thing that we love and people are watching us do it. Um, when I'm in that place, it's about sort of presenting this beautiful thing that is music. It's not, oh, look at me and listen to me, aren't I great? Which is where all those confusing voices come in, and the judgy voices, and the insecurities, and the anxiety about going on stage, and all that noise is because we're thinking about ourselves and that it's us doing this and how we're going to be judged about how we do this. But once I put it between me and the audience as this beautiful, precious gift that can make all of us feel so many things, it made it so much easier. And just taking who I was on stage, not trying to figure out, oh, okay, who do I want to be? There's all these voices and influences from the outside in the commercial world, which is so much of what we see and consume, that didn't fit right with me and didn't feel right. I wasn't that person, and how could I talk to the audience? I used to be paralyzed in the my band days about how to talk to the audience. And once I realized, oh, I just be myself because this person is unique. And I didn't need to worry about, oh, well, I'm not as good as that person. Oh, I wish I could write like they did. Oh, I wish I could sing like they do. And all that anxiety that comes from that, where I came to that place where I thought, okay, the one thing that I have is that I'm me. And nobody else is me. And I can use myself as a vehicle to put music out in the world. And everything just kept getting easier and easier and more enjoyable and less angst related to it. Um, yeah, I don't feel like I don't necessarily full on identify as an artist and try to define that. I just keep doing my work and putting it out in the world. And that it's all rolled into one. As we were talking, Krystle and I were briefly saying how we feel like so much of what we do in our daily lives, it can be creative, whether it's what you do in your home and or building a railing or all sorts of things where you get to be adventurous in your creative self. Um, and I think about what compels people to be artists, and I do think it is something that you are compelled to do. And I think the most confusing part can be that if there is an element of I want to be famous, I want to be known, if it comes from that place, it's a challenging path because of the internal voices that are hungering for that. And the fact that, ironically, if you achieve that, the disparate reality between what is coming at you when you're famous, the idolatry of that, and the weird energy that happens when people get around famous people where it's hard to even have a natural exchange with people, all of that creates a chasm between how you're being treated and how you feel on the inside, because we will always be vulnerable, insecure, um, questioning, feeling not worthy, imposter syndrome. We'll always have those voices no matter what's going on. But the bigger that gap is, I think, between how we're being treated and how we feel, the easier depression and mental illness and all kinds of craziness can happen. So I feel like really getting in touch with why you want, not why you want to be an artist, but because you are an artist, everybody's an artist, but why you want to put that out into the world and what your goal is in putting it out in the world. And that also can sort of help with the insecurities of what happens when it's judged, because there's going to be people who like it and people who don't like it, and sometimes the people who don't like it are vocal about it and you find out or you read it or whatever it is. But if it has that separation of you're creating it to share for the people who want to take it in and the people who are affected by it, as opposed to this is a statement about my value. And I came to that very graphically when I was in the popular music world and had a label and manager and all that stuff. And overnight, it all went away, having nothing to do with me. Just it's not even worth describing. It's just what can happen in that world where suddenly that you get dropped from the label or a new president comes in or the new A&R department or whatever it is. So then I had nothing and I had to figure out, okay, who am I? How do I want to do this? What's important to me? And my first thought was, well, I'm going to go get on another label, get back on that horse. And I kept getting rejected. And then I came to the point where I realized, well, they're about the business. They are going to look at an artist of, can this artist make us either enough money or a lot of money, preferably a lot, and is that that I couldn't allow that to be a reflection of my value as an artist. So that was a real coming to terms with what my value was, what I had to offer, and that I just had to keep doing it. And that's what I've done ever since. The end. Any questions?
Thank you so much, Shari, for your insights and sharing your knowledge with us. Next, we'll move on to our next mentor, Krystle Dos Santos. Krystle is an award-winning vocalist. She is known for her powerful voice and her infectious warmth. Crossing genres, she combines soul with jazz, pop, funk, and blues into her own unique expression, while seamlessly moving between each style with total command. In addition to her music career, her developed sense of performance and stagecraft have launched her into a successful modeling and TV acting career. Whether as a solo artist, fronting a band, or being in front of the camera, Krystle exudes confidence, poise, and power. She is a dynamic performer, and Krystle is always a step ahead of the crowd. Please welcome Krystle Dos Santos.
Hi, everybody. Thank you. How's everybody doing? Oh my gosh, it's so nice to see all these lovely familiar faces. So we're talking about the head and the heart, right? We're talking about what it is to mentally navigate being this crazy thing called an artist. And of course, what was my thing to do as I was reading my 1-year-old Dr. Seuss book? Bawl my eyes out, because Dr. Seuss speaks the hell of a truth. So if anybody knows this book, I thought I knew this book, and I did not know this book. And I just thought I would read a snippet from here, because everybody needs to read the whole thing. But I'm going to read you a snippet because there's a lot of things that really spoke to me in terms of my journey and my continued journey. And I think something that we were talking about, you used those on your wedding vow. Oh my God, I love it. As Shari was saying, we have this continuous journey. There's no end. There's no top of the mountain. There is no, sort of final pinnacle in which you reach as an artist. It is like a continuous long road of a journey, and you have to enjoy that scenery and make sure that your vehicle is, tuned up and good to go. Otherwise, you're going to find yourself in a lot of hiccups. So you'll be on your way up. You'll be seeing great sights. You'll join the high flyers who soar to high heights. You won't lag behind because you'll have the speed. You'll pass the whole gang and you'll soon take the lead. Wherever you fly, you'll be the best of the best. Wherever you go, you will top all the rest. Except when you don't, because sometimes you won't. I'm sorry to say that, but sadly it's true. The bang-ups, the hang-ups can happen to you. You get all hung up in a prickly perch and your gang will fly on. You'll be left in a lurch. You'll come down from the lurch with an unpleasant bump, and the chances are then you'll be in a slump. And when you're in a slump, you're not in for much fun. Unslumping yourself is not easily undone. Unbelievable, right? Holy crap. Okay, so let me I just want to read you the whole damn book because it's so good. The slumps, right? This is for a 2-year-old, I know, right? It's for mama is what it's for. And so basically what I wanted to bring to attention to was all the downs, because it's so easy to go on stage and turn it on. It's so easy to, express yourself, hopefully. So not for me, it's not easy, but it's a really cathartic thing to express yourself through your songwriting and write about all the bad things or your experiences and bring them to a piece of art that you can share, and then turn it on during the stage and everything's great. But what about when you walk off the stage? What about when you get a bad review? What about when you come home from tour? I'm in tears. What about, right? And that's the hard part. that's the part that sucks the most. And that's the part that we have to work our way through and figure out what it's all about. And so I think some of the biggest tools that I've used in order to balance that whole system out, because it really is a full system, isn't it? You know, there's never the up without the down. And balance is the absolute key. You have to surround yourself personally, and me and Darcy talked about this yesterday, professionally, with people who are supportive, who love you, who understand where you're coming from, who are going to push you in the right directions, who have your best intentions at heart, and who understand your moral values and how you want to conduct business as well. And if they don't, then you need to manage how much you let them in or have control over what it is that you want to ultimately obtain and your goals in which you're going toward. Because if people don't understand that, that's when they walk all over you. That's when you let them sort of like take advantage. And I know that it sounds weird in terms of let them take advantage, but ultimately we are our own gatekeepers, and we have to be very, very strong and steadfast in exactly what we want and how we believe it. Another thing is, especially when it comes to the negativity, I hate to talk about the negativity, but positivity always comes from that. So have outlets and anchors that bring you back to who you are outside of music, outside of your art. So when you know, perhaps you have a favorite meal, and when you come home from tour, make yourself that lasagna and just dig right in, yo. You know, go and visit your mom or your dad or your friend or your auntie or your grandma. Find the anchors and the devices that help you to ground yourself in who you are as a person, because our music and our artistry, as much as it can feel like it's our everything and does sort of weave its thread through our everyday life, it does not dictate who we are in our core. And of course, the old, I've said it before, I'll say it again, comparison is the thief of joy, and collaboration and celebration to me is the seed of it. And so we have to also, in our journeys, and when I released my album in February and I got, 5 reviews, but I got 20 rejections because, oh, this is too this, or this is not that, and this is not enough of this, and it's too much of that. It's like, I was proud of it. I knew exactly what my intention and my goals were doing it. My team that I surrounded myself with was exactly who I loved to work with, and I'll work with every single one of them again. Then you can fall back on a foundation of strength and celebration, as opposed to, well, this guy got 20 reviews and how come everybody's paying attention to them? Because even when things do go well, you'll still somehow like revert to something negative, and it seems really weird. So you have to build yourself, again, children's books, a house of bricks rather than a house of straw, right? Strong foundations. Yeah, I think I'll just leave it there for now. Pass it off to Deirdre. We have so much to talk about. We got so much to talk about. So let's continue our journeys.
All right. Thank you so much for that, Krystle, and that wonderful read along. It's always so wonderful to hear your insights. And now we'll move on to our final mentor, Deirdre Morgan. Deirdre is an ethnomusicologist, performer, and arts administrator of the Irish North Atlantic ancestry who grew up on the Katzie-Kwantlen territory in Maple Ridge, British Columbia. She holds a PhD in music from South University of London and an MA in ethnomusicology and BA in interdisciplinary studies from the University of British Columbia. Her research focuses on the global revival of the Jew's harp, which is a small mouth resonated instrument found in various forms around the world. Deirdre is a lecturer in the music department at Vancouver Community College and Simon Fraser University, where she teaches courses on music history, culture, ethnography, identity, representation, gender, and social media. Please welcome Deirdre Morgan.
Thank you so much. That's my latest bio, and I just realized it's painfully academic. So time to rewrite that thing for the 250th time. We rewrite our bios a lot in my social media class. That's talk about something that never ends. Because we keep growing, right? We keep growing and we keep doing. So for my little opening blurb today, I wanted to start with my top 2 recommendations for keeping your head and heart. And I think Krystle and I both got the props memo today because I have some props today. So my number 1 recommendation is bark thins. And you can get these at Costco. This is not an official endorsement. They just help a lot. They're salty. I don't know. They're really good. Salty chocolate. Just get a kilogram of salty chocolate and use it daily when you need it. A couple cc's of that. And my second recommendation is therapy. Therapy. I am the poster child for therapy. I have been seeing a clinical counselor once a month since 2009. So I'm at my 11-year anniversary of using counseling as a tool to stay sane as a very sensitive, creative soul. Creative people, arts people, a lot of us are just built a little bit differently. We're built with like the extra sensory perception. Some of us are a little bit extra in general. We feel things very strongly. That is a gift. Try to see it as a gift. Sometimes it feels like a curse. Sometimes it feels like a penance. Sometimes it feels like a punishment. Try to see it as an extra special endowment that you have been blessed with, that not everybody has been blessed with. Try to play to the strengths of your sensitivity and your creativity, rather than the parts about it that are hard, because trust me, it's hard. So that's what counselors are for, because sometimes our feelings are so complex that it's beyond what family and friends can support us with. And it's also really helpful to have somebody you can talk to who's outside of the family and friends sphere, who can just be like this lockbox of confidential trust that you can put in that person, and you can just tell them everything. You can tell them like the really, really crazy stuff that you go through, and you don't have to be afraid about shocking them because they've heard it all and that's their job. So bark thins and therapy, that's my number 1 and 2 recommendations. Beyond that, I'm not sure what order. There's a couple things I want to talk about. I think I'm just trying to decide which one to start with here. I think because Krystle pulled out the Dr. Seuss, I'm gonna just flow with that, because Krystle, I don't know, we're on a wavelength today. I think we always kind of are a little bit, but I also have like a little story time book today. I don't know what's going on. We got the memo. Something happened. So I want to talk to you all about something called peak performance. And this is really to do with the mountain metaphor from the Dr. Seuss thing. So when you were reading that, Krystle, I was like, of course, that's what I was going to talk about today. Because I guess creative people, we deal with mountains a lot. We really do. Peaks and valleys, highs and lows. Our lives, I feel, our inner lives are a little bit more roller coastery as creative people than some other folks. Again, that's part of what makes us different. That's actually part of what allows us to do what we do, is the ability to feel through that and to ride those waves. But I want to talk about the waves for a second, because there's an art to riding the waves, and Krystle was really getting at that. So I think we're always chasing the peaks, right? And this is where we can really get into a lot of messed up stuff. When we are chasing the high, when we're chasing the high point, because let's face it, those high points, they can feel really amazing. Performing feels really amazing. Hell, getting attention feels really amazing. Being seen, feeling like for maybe a few minutes or an hour of your life, you were really seen and heard and understood and were able to express what you wanted to express in this world and do that work that you feel like you were put here to do in this world. That feels good. That should feel good. There's nothing wrong with that feeling good. But where the story time comes in is that this thing called peak performance, the idea that you can peak, and especially for us, literally through the act of performance, when you get to the top of a mountain, where do you go next? When you finally get to the top, you have to come down. You have to. It's the only way to get to the next mountain. And there is going to be another mountain and another one and another one. But you have to come down. And we get so stuck on chasing the peaks that when it's time to come down, it's like, oh. And this is where we can go into like major crashes, major depressions, right? Just like, oh God. So I kind of want to reframe that a little bit today. And the thing that helped me reframe that is this, it's like a Zen Oracle deck. Whatever, I'm a hippie, I'm just gonna own it. This deck is like oracle cards, and I had a really big experience this is a very emotional session. Actually, my third recommendation is to get these cotton hankies for all the crying that you will do. I literally like cry during some of my classes. I'm just like dabbing my eyes. I'll do it right now just to sort of normalize it. It's normal, whatever. We're weird creative people. Just be you. People, the things that we're most afraid of about ourselves are the things that people love about us, often. So this deck, I had a peak experience in 2011. I went to an international Jews Harp Festival in Yakutsk, Siberia. I traveled from Vancouver. I traveled 3/4 of the way around the globe. I met up with 50 other Jews Harp players from around the world in Moscow, and we all got on a plane together. If that plane had gone down then, our community would have been gone. We were all on that plane going to this festival. And we stayed there for a week. It was the summer solstice. We stayed up all night. We didn't sleep at all. We performed every single day for hours a day. We were playing music with people who we couldn't even speak the same language with, but we were playing music together all hours of the day. We were performing at the National Opera House, like the biggest stage in town. Like there were literally red carpets. It was a big deal. It was a peak performance. Like that was a peak. And I had to come home from that, right? I had to go home after that. I got to feel like a god for a week. And, I got to feel like a really famous person, which I definitely was not. Then I had to come home. And then, you have to do the laundry after the tour. And you have to like get your own groceries. You're not just going to restaurants and being served. You have to go through all that, and you have to come down and be a person. And a friend of mine had this deck, and this is actually what made me end up getting this deck. So after I came home from that trip and I was processing, my friend was like, let's pull a card for you. Let's just see, and I pulled this card, which is completion. And it's this I love this image so much because it's this joyful person who's clearly just been running a marathon, right? They've been running some kind of race. They are just busting through the finish line. There is confetti. Their head is thrown. They're like in ecstasy. They're like, I did it. I did it. I did the thing. I achieved the thing. And the key words here were final attainment, victory, a crescendo, very musical thing there, a job well done, perfection, peak performance. This is the first time I was ever introduced to the concept of peak performance. But then the final keyword on this card is a warning. It says prudence. And I just wanted to read you, so here's the story time, a little bit of the write-up for this card in the accompanying booklet. Peak experiences are like brilliant lights appearing on the vast panorama of our lives. We strive, train, and aim for them. Our ideals, hopes, and dreams are projected onto them. When a high point is finally reached, a different landscape of possibilities has already begun to appear. It is naive to believe that achieving a goal means it's then possible to kick back and relax, or that from now on, life will remain perfect forever. The reality is, in fact, that once you reach the top, you most assuredly begin some form of descent. Without the valley, there could be no peaks. Life would be flat and predictable. And here's the most important part. I'll just skip ahead to the end. Breakthroughs are part of a continuum. They can occur in both small and great ways. When you have achieved any kind of peak, it is wisest to direct your energies toward returning to middle ground in a relaxed and natural way. Attaining the heights always challenges our mental and physical limits, if for no other reason than the fact that increased exposure means increased vulnerability. If you slack off now, before you have fully comprehended all the implications of your position, the situation can degenerate, and what seemed glorious can begin to distort and break down. Prepare yourself to resume the day-to-day, step-by-step work of doing ordinary things in the best way that you can. There is no milestone on the road at which perfection is finally reached. The experience of perfection is a revelation. It is a realization that perfection is contained within every moment, regardless of whether the moment appears grand and cosmic or inconsequential and mundane. So my big advice here is that when you start coming down, when you do have a peak experience, feel it, feel the greatness of it, feel that like, that card, like busting through the finish line, like, yeah, I achieved. And then tell yourself, this is the phrase I always tell myself, what goes up must come down. Like a balloon, like a helium balloon at a kid's birthday party that runs out of helium. It's great during the party, and then the next day it's like sad and it's coming down. But it's okay because there'll be other balloons, right? So say what comes up, what goes up must come down, and then prepare yourself for a soft and comfy landing. Don't dread the landing. Don't crash and burn. Make a pillow fort and get ready for that landing because you're coming down. And try to see the come down and that return to those everyday activities as grounding. They're not the enemy, they're stability. Find stability in that normalcy, because remember, that's what allows us to recharge and do it all over again. That's it for now.
Thank you very much, Deirdre, for sharing your experience and encouragement and your favorite snack. All right, so now we'll move on to our general discussion part of the session. And it's like a Q&A, and I will be reading out the questions that some of the participants have written in the chat. If you have any further questions, please raise your hand and unmute yourself to ask your questions.
I've got a question here. Thank you very much, mentors. My question to you is, for those of us that have work outside of music, do you have any advice in terms of creating discipline for yourself or achieving those personal goals when you feel like, okay, you gotta, do the laundry and do the day job and then focus? Do you have any advice in terms of how do you carve out time for your passion so that you can start to build more and more time towards it?
I'm going to let Krystle and Deirdre answer that because my self-discipline sucks. I managed to squeeze out a career for a long time. I always get to it eventually, but every time I read a writer saying, okay, so you have to have a schedule and this is what you do. You write from 9 to blah, blah, blah. I've never been able to achieve it. I am a roamer. I am whatever's in front of me. I just do that until I realize, okay, if I want to continue my career, I really have to write some songs now. So I'll hand it to more professionals.
The struggle is real for all of us. Krystle, did you have something? Do you want to say something?
Well, I was just going to say my self-discipline is like peaks and valleys. Like it comes and it goes. But I have in the past have had like in the past like maybe 5 to 6 years, I have not had something else necessarily competing entirely with my creativity. However, I've had multiple avenues of creative outlets So I think that works as the same sort of challenge. I think what you need to do is you need to not necessarily make it work that you're going toward. You have to make your creative moments joyous, joyful, and something like the soft pillow landing, something welcoming to go toward. So for example, if you are working and you have a full-time job, but maybe you have 2 weeks of vacation, maybe take a 4-day holiday, get your favorite musician friends, rent an Airbnb in non-COVID times. This isn't fantastic. This is not our current world, but you know, and carve out a moment where you know that the only thing you have to focus on is your creative goal. I think giving yourself the space and the time is what feeds creativity in a really beautiful way. And always trying to sort of say at 6 o'clock after I get off work, at 5, have dinner, do this and that, get my laundry done, you know, like make sure my chores are like, you know, you're never going to be as creative as you can or should or want to be if you don't give yourself a little bit of space. That's all I was going to say about that.
I love that. That's I just wanted to add to that the whole idea of carving out time. It's interesting that we use the word carving. It's like carving is something you do when you're working with a hard object and you're taking another hard object. It's like kind of aggressive, right? You're like, I'm gonna make this, I'm gonna carve this. And I wonder why it is, and I know the answer is capitalism. Why do we see our time this way? Why do we see our time as this hard block that we need to take a scalpel at to get any give with it, to make any time for ourselves? So I much prefer what you said, Krystle, which is the making time. And to make time for something, it means you have to get rid of something else that's already in your schedule. That's something that I don't think we talk about enough. We're all really overworked. We're all really overcommitted. We're all overscheduled. I'm as guilty of this as anyone else. And I've been to this burnout place many times. And every time I get here, it's like, well, something's got to give, because the container can only hold so much. And there's only 24 hours in the day, and I need at least 8 of those unconscious, and another like hour of those with the bark thins, you know? So it's like, that's 9 hours accounted for right there, plus a nap in the afternoon. Okay, so it's 10 hours. So that doesn't leave very much time in between work and whatever, the frickin' laundry that never goes away. So what can you get rid of? What can you say no to? As somebody who is a chronic like sayer of yes to everything, what can you offload from your schedule to actually make room? Because the idea that we can just keep cramming or just keep carving it until it's like we're like Swiss cheese, that's not going to get the best of our creative energy, because we're going to be stretched too thin. So instead of the carving, it's like, if I want to add something to my schedule, if I want to add a priority to my life, what can I deprioritize? Something has to give to make way for that thing to have space. And it's really hard because we want to do everything.
So
Can I add just one extra thing? Is I loved, because I'm again feeding off of Deirdre's what she's saying. Yes is not always going to feed us. As creatives, we want to say yes to everything because we think that those are going to be our only and our last opportunities. And if we say no, somebody's never going to call us again. Oh my God. No is your biggest and best tool in life, but also it has to be calculated, right? It has to be very well, again, balanced with what serves you and serves your art and serves your life and serves your balance. So as I began saying no, the better opportunities came along. And I'm not talking monetarily, but that is also true. The better opportunities come along that make your heart feel fuller, that make you feel like you're really serving the purpose of your art or your creativity. And when you say no to the things that you're like, even if that pays me X amount of dollars, you know what, I'll find it elsewhere, or I don't need it this month or whatever, because something else other than say money, because as an artist, there's that constant struggle. Something else will serve you more. And, you know, maybe it's meeting the right people who you want to work with, or maybe it's, you know, learning something from this particular experience or whatever it is. Also, anything negative, I have dogged myself. I went into some deep depression after losing a lot of money from a grant in 2014. And, you know, there's a lot of things that you can, you know, sort of do wrong. Those were actually not even the most expensive lessons I've ever learned. And you can treat any losses or negativity as, this is so general and maybe so basic, but as the biggest and best of learning experiences. And any little negative thing that ever happens, you know, if you just shift your mindset to say, what did I learn here? There's so much value and positivity that will come out of that learning experience. So anyways, now I
That's
feel
what
like I'm
I'm
just
feeling
trailing.
about the whole last 9 months, actually.
It applies to every part of our
Yeah.
lives, doesn't it? Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So.
All right, so there are some questions in the chat. Thank you, mentors, for those insights. Question for Shari. What helped you to stay on the music track after you were rejected by numerous labels? What did you hang on to?
Well, it was kind of choiceless. There was a choicelessness about it. I never considered that I would go in any other direction or do anything different. There's always been a lot of tangential things related to music that I've done that have just come along. But it was just never a question. I was fortunate by that point that I had fans. I mean, I had people who knew me who were affirming that my work had value and wanted more of it. So that really helped. Marianne's question, it just really spoke to me. Do you have any tips for if you feel like you're performing or working in a non-supportive environment, etc.? And I feel, you know, I've always preached to my, not always, but I would feed to my daughter when she was younger. She's 30 now, but that in terms of if she were to be looking for a partner, that the barometer was, did you feel like you could be completely yourself? Did you feel completely accepted, appreciated, loved, cherished? And if you felt less than that, then don't be with that person. And I feel that about music. I mean, we are our most vulnerable when we're making music. And even though that might be the situation that you are currently in, and it might feel like it's challenging to get out of, it's just so important. And I've been in 3 different trios with 2 men. Every one of them, I felt all those things, and I didn't in the band where I felt like I was the front person and had to make them, you know, I didn't feel that at all. So fortunately that was short-lived. But I can't say enough about how important that is to surround yourself with people who are supportive, you don't have to feel like you're as good or better or any of those kinds of values. You just have to feel appreciated, seen, carried, held, well, you know, all those positive things that we want to feel with other humans in that environment as well.
I'm still working on it, to be honest. Just until a couple of years ago, like until maybe last year, you know, you can continue to, I felt like loyalty was more important than my personal comfort or my, how can I say this? I don't know, my abilities. I don't know. But let me tell you this. I was being told by outside people, you are much better than your band. You're much better than the people you're surrounding yourself with. And I couldn't process that for years. And I surrounded myself with people who I thought had my best interest at heart, who I thought were supportive of me. But in the end, when I really, really saw it, it's about coming down to super fine-tuned things, really little things. For example, is somebody helping you take out your gear if you have a huge sound system that needs to be brought down? Is somebody saying, hey, great job today, you really nailed that, blah, blah, blah. It's about being supportive of the person and their personal self as much as it is about building the career and being, supportive of the ability to help make other people money or whatever. It's not just about them making you look good, it's about them making you feel good too. And you walking off the stage and knowing that I love this team. And trust me, it is a mind game to try and say, oh, well, no, this person's doing great. They're fine. It's okay. And you can make 100 million excuses. But what you really need to come down to is it's not about being friends. It's about just, slowly chipping away at finding the exact team that's going to help you out. And again, I'm going to bring up a little conversation. I saw Darcy yesterday at an audition, and she mentioned something to me. And she said, there's this little thing about this professional person that I work with that has been bugging me. And I said, if there's one little thing, we've worked too hard, too long, too much to have even one little thing bugging you. And that one little thing is a huge thing, and it's a matter of support. And you need to make sure that everybody you are touching, even if you are just chipping away and saying, this guitarist isn't working for me anymore, let me just try this new guy. And if it's going to hurt someone's feelings, you got to just let that go, because it's about your feelings right now. Find that new guitarist, find the new drummer you love, find the person that really works with and for, again, that bigger goal, and chip away until you find exactly the team and the group that works for you.
These are such excellent points. And I just want to add sort of to this situation that Marianne's talking about, where you're like in the moment, when you're sort of in the situation and you're feeling like, oh no, this isn't what I want. It can be really easy to internalize negative experiences and blame ourselves and think that it must be something that we've done to like manifest this reality. So a way of reframing that is to see it as, this is not a good fit. It's not to do with you. It's nothing to do with you being defective, or this always happens to me, or making some kind of story or narrative around you being this like flawed protagonist in the story. This is just not a good fit. And then you can turn a negative, before it turns into a trauma, you can turn it, right? And because a trauma is like an unprocessed emotional experience. It's emotions that never got to get digested. So instead of going to that place where you're internalizing and bottling and blaming yourself for the not good fit, turn it into an affirmation and go, I won't feel like this again. I refuse to feel like this again. So you're setting an intention for moving forward. You're feeling feel the badness, feel all of it. Feel how unheard and unseen and disrespected that you feel in the situation. Take the anger, take the rage, channel it into an affirmation. I will not feel like this again. Not I cannot, because we say we can't do things and then we do them anyway. I will not, I won't. Drawing a line in the sand. I'm done with this feeling. And that will very much help you to recognize that feeling. If it starts coming around again, your spidey senses will start tingling. You'll go, wait, this is reminding me of that feeling that I said I never want to feel again. So then you can chop it off, right? Before it gets to that point of you feeling really, really uncomfortable and really unhappy with the situation. So it's that thing of trying to make the positivity.
I just wanted to add two quick things. One of my barometers about people that I work with is that their priority is serving the music and serving the song. So I've had a lot of great, brilliant guitar players and keyboard players that I can just tell early on, this is not going to work because it's about them and not the music. And the other thing is what Rick Scott, who's a children's performer who was in the Pied Pumpkin, the first band that I was in, his mantra is, if I don't feel safe, I can't have fun.
Hi, I'm Kat. I'm a singer-songwriter. I don't really have any questions. I've enjoyed everything that everybody's been sharing. I was thinking in terms of dropping from a peak. Are there things, tips and tricks gals have around how to lift oneself up, calm oneself down, bolster yourself, that kind of thing? That's it.
Oh, yes. I actually had a whole section in my notes for today called coping mechanisms. And coping mechanisms are really important, but there's like the good, the bad, and the actually deadly, right? So we want to focus on the good. I actually renamed it the good, the okay, because I don't want to say a coping mechanism is bad, because some of the less good ones are still useful. Like watching like the numbing activities like TV, you know, the escapist stuff. Sometimes we need that stuff in moderation just to check out. And I'm not going to call that bad. I don't want to shame that because I use that a lot myself. And I have no interest in shaming myself. So I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to shame you for that either. The good, my recommendations are naps, walks, time in nature, laughing really hard. Do not underestimate the physiological medicine that is just like laughing so hard. My brother made me laugh really hard a couple days ago, and I was like, oh my God, it's been months. It's been months since my diaphragm had that level of a workout. And there's a physiological release. Like that's a very immediate chemical reaction that you can do to release endorphins, and it really works. I also recommend dancing. There's no such thing as bad dancing. Put on music that makes you move. Just do like a dance party in your living room, or do it over Zoom with some friends. Also karaoke, similar kind of vein. Just like let it out. Don't try to be good. Just have fun. Being silly and playful. So play is something that we lose sight of a lot when we're like trying to be adults. And it's actually one of the biggest restorative things for our psyches. So those are the ones that, to me, those are in my good category. Those are the ones I strive for. And when I don't have the energy for those, I just go for the okay ones. You know, I go for the like junk food and too much TV and binge watching. And I do that for a bit until I'm ready to do some of the good category again. And then the deadly ones are like, seriously, just stay away from the drugs and alcohol for real as performers. We've lost so many performers. We've lost so many women in particular, and it's really down to that vulnerability, that post-peak vulnerability, where the veil between you and like whatever you just channeled from the other side is very thin right after you've just performed and made yourself so vulnerable, right? So in those moments, if you're finding that you're really turning towards the substances and even just things like bad relationships or like fake friends or people who don't really care about you but who are kind of drawn to you because you're a performer, those are the ones that I put in my deadly category. It's just like a hard no to those things. It's not saying don't drink. It's just notice that if you are using it in a particular way and there's a particular pattern of using that around your creative practice and especially post-performance, notice that and know that that's a coping mechanism. That's gone from being a fun thing and it's gone into a coping mechanism. So and I think I would recommend everybody make their own personal list, the good, the okay, and the deadly. Like, what are you going to absolutely, when you see yourself going there, go, nope, better not go there. Let's choose one from one of the other categories. Try to make that list for yourself. It can be pretty illuminating.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tarane, and I'm a singer and composer and lyricist. And I just want to say thank you all. I'm benefiting so much from this. It's my third time here. And it has been life-changing, as Jill says. Thank you so much. I think because we are blessed to do what we love, we sometimes stretch ourselves way more than we actually can or should to make things happen, and we end up hurting ourselves. How do you guys deal with that? How have our mentors managed to stay true to themselves and survive in today's music industry? You know what I mean? I believe the two don't always go hand in hand.
I think the word no, again, I'm going to bring that up, is a huge tool that if you use it in the right way, it really, really serves you. If you start choosing the things, the people, the situations, the opportunities very wisely, and even if something seems really good, when you lose something and you're like, damn, I wish I could have done that. It wasn't meant for you, that's like a no, but it's not in your control. So no is like the way to kind of like actually have control of that situation. Because it's, again, so easy to want to take every opportunity, work with every person. And you know what, Tarane, we've had our meetings and I am just so in awe and respect, and I love you so much. I think you have got such a brilliant and professional and balanced head on your shoulders. I think you have a team of people that you are loyal to, but you also love and support what you do. You know, you're finding the right people and you're going through all the right avenues. It's just a matter of now chiseling and chipping away at the fine tuning things of saying, no, thank you. But I'm sure, and here's a beautiful way that I like to deal with a no. You know what? Unfortunately, I'm unavailable for this, because unavailable doesn't have to mean scheduling. It could mean I just don't want to do the dang thing. But I am unavailable for this, but may I recommend to you another singer or two, or whomever, or whatever the replacement might need to be, for someone who might be available for this. And then you never know, you're opening up an opportunity for someone else who might just be like, yeah, I could use the money, the experience, the whatever, the company, maybe they like the person better, whatever it is, you know. No thank you, but here's an offering. And I think that replacing the no, not replacing it, but following up the no with an offering makes me feel better about saying no as well sometimes.
I think it's a matter of listening to your gut, but I have to say that, which sort of ties in both things, I do stretch myself too thin all the time, and I say yes to so many things that my first instinct is to say no to because it scares me. It's something new that I haven't done. The things that I say no to that are easier no's are things where I know that the music isn't going to be respected, that you know, somebody wants it at a birthday party, and I say, this is not a good, you know, you should have something fun and not something that should be listened to, you know, not that they are mutually exclusive. You know, as I stretch myself too thin, because I tend to think, oh, I'll just do it myself about almost everything, I always learn. I mean, I do have to make sure I stay healthy, that I get my naps and I get my sleep, and you know, all those incredibly great advice that's been given. But I am so much stronger than I might have thought I was if I had thought that I needed to be more careful. But I have many, many artist friends who are far more careful about what they say yes to. It's just been my way to be more yes and less no, and be okay about being stretched thin. Oh, but there was the other thing about staying true to yourself in the world of being an artist in the music industry. Just keeping in mind that, again, it's instinct. Protecting, I always just want to protect the music. And there are music industry opportunities that are good if you feel like that is their priority. Generally, in the bigger industry, it's like everything else. It's about money. That isn't necessarily a bad thing, but just feeling like the people involved have the kind of integrity that resonates with you.
Hi there. My name is Susanna, and I am a singer, composer, producer. Yeah, I'm happy to be here. I know a few of the people in this group and wonderful women. I don't have any specific questions. I think everything that's been said is relevant to all of us. I think that one of the things that I was thinking about as everyone was talking about, Krystle, you were saying, you know, about comparisons, and I think that one of the things I have to be very mindful of in my creative process is to be happy with me in the moment, and make sure that I'm not doing things to please, sometimes not even the audience, but my fellow musicians. I think that creating a more collaborative approach to being creative has become one of the most healing things for me, especially this year. I think that supporting each other, not only by talking about what troubles us, but also what supports our creative process has been key. So thank you, Krystle, because you're one of those people that has been a part of that process. And I love you so much. So anyway, I mean, for all of you, beautiful women here. One of you, we're all human, obviously struggling with our own stuff. And yeah, thank you so much for being vulnerable, for being talented, and for being there.
Hello. How is everybody? Yay! I love you guys. I always look forward to seeing everyone. And I think the biggest thing is, you know, you feel like you're not alone. You know, we're all here and we're like, oh yeah, I feel like that. And different levels, right? We're like, regardless of where your profession is, you just feel, when we all connect, you're like, oh, I am going the right direction, right? So anyway, my name is Jill Fye. I'm here in a beautiful Okanagan. And my full-time job, I'm a nurse. And every other moment of my life, I'm a singer-songwriter, and my husband and I own a music production company, which as we're writing our own songs and everything, we're building that to be everything, like maybe even a record label someday. So we're always learning. I had mentioned earlier, though, we had a whole bunch of songs and stuff kind of half written, you know, like a room full of a cutting room floor, basically, nothing put together. And since I joined this group, we have almost 3 songs done, possibly releasing one a month. We got 10. We actually just, on the fly, we wrote one last night, like a heart Dio kind of compost song. So it's always exciting. And I guess my biggest thing is because when I sing, it's my heart on a sleeve. And it really scares me to put that out there. I mean, it's one thing to be at home and you're like, oh, I love this, and we do it because we love it. But it's another thing to throw it out in the world, because I know, you know, of course, not everybody's going to like it, right? So my question is, how do I prepare myself? Because I'm excited and I am so scared. So ladies, please help me launching this out to the world. And I love all you guys.
Congratulations. That's huge. That's so big. First of all, I didn't know you were a nurse outside of this. That's flippin' amazing. Like, thank you. Thank you for that. Okay, so in regards to your question, I have one nice long word: compartmentalization. For me, sharing my own original work is gutting and horrible, and it makes me want to gag and throw up. It's just the worst feeling. But back to this beautiful topic of surrounding yourself with beautiful people who appreciate you and share. Susanna is one of them. She played on my album release parties, and we have lots of projects and things that we collaborate on together. When you share your work, like the actual creation of your work, with people who you love, it's becomes so much more than you. It becomes celebrating your team and the bigger picture, as well. Compartmentalization in the sense of putting it out there for a different purpose than me, right? Shari said it before. It's not necessarily about us anymore. It's about the bigger picture. It's so much bigger than us. It's now sharing a message. It's now sharing a story. It's now sharing a gift, an actual gift to anybody else who's listening to it. So just like you would wrap up your Christmas presents, or whatever denomination you may be, whatever you celebrate, just like you might wrap up a muffin and give it to a friend, think of it as your cake to share and slice up and share with the world. And whoever eats it or likes it, you know what I mean? Terrible analogy, is for them to decide. But at that point, the giving has been done. So I think that, you can know that of giving, you can, sort of know that you shared what you shared, and people are going to enjoy your vulnerability and everything that you've put into your music. And especially when you do and you feel even more scared about it, I feel like that's when people enjoy and resonate with it more, because they're seeing and feeling and hearing your vulnerability. So it's a weird, yeah, go ahead.
Using the muffin analogy, when you give a friend a muffin, if it doesn't happen to be their taste, they're not going to say, "Oh, I had that muffin, it was awful." Like they're just not going to give you that kind of feedback. We're in a world where that feedback can happen, but the important thing is the giving out to the world and the receiver, and then just knowing that it's taste. It's not a statement about who you are or the value of your work. It's just some people are going to love it and some people aren't. Jill, so let me finish what I was saying. I pressed the wrong button. I didn't mean to do that. I wanted to say that if you think about the alternative, which is to not put it out into the world, that's not really an alternative. So it's just a given that you are braced for how it's responded to. Never end a sentence with a preposition, although I think we're over that now.
Hi, everybody. Wow, what inspiration and safe space. Thank you so much. Absolutely, each and every one of you. It's a distinct pleasure. I am the person that finds a way when most others say no. I'm a singer, actor, dancer, getting into voiceover, event planner, event manager, sponsorship, blah, blah. And also living with chronic pain. And I asked the question in the breakout room, but for head and heart, burnout is not always the perfect foundation for creativity. And thank you, Krystle, for seeing me, hearing me, and saying, take a dang week off or a day off. And Jill, this kind of ties into your thing earlier. You know, as a nurse and under the pressures and everything of that job alone, but also this current climate and year, I think it's really important to have this woman time, more so than ever, but also self time. And you know, that fear of sharing that vulnerability is real, but you need to be grounded and safe. And in a job where you're always giving, you need to give back, if not more so, to yourself. And finding, you know, something grounding and physical that will get you into your body, into your breath, and into that safe, warmed up space to be able to share. You know, it's good for all of us. And also the cool down, just like those peaks and valleys. You know, that's what the most elite physical performers and Broadway performers and all the rest do. So we're not any different on the West Coast. That's me.
Sorry. Yes, I was just saying it's my first time here and it's been very inspiring. I'm a fiddle player, singer, and step dancer from Squamish, and I've been self-represented for many, many years, and it's definitely a juggling act doing all the admin, and I was wondering about tips on time management and just juggling so many things at once while also carving up that time for creating and writing.
Hi, I'm Mishi. For a couple people know me from Vancouver, but I moved. I had to move up north. Had to move like 5 times during COVID. But I'm in a beautiful place. I don't know if you guys can see the mountains. I'm in Tatlioko right now. And I just wanted to say hi. And Mandy, just a big hug. I feel ya. And hi to Krystle, hi to Susanna. And it's so nice to meet everybody, and just really so nice to spend time with you all.
Hi, everyone. Thank you very much. This is just amazing to be a part of this group. And I think, you know, a couple of my questions were around just how to structure time, and something we talked about in the breakout session was my friends and I produced an album a couple of years ago, and it didn't meet, you know, radio standards by any means. So the dream kind of fell apart. And now I thought with COVID, I just want to get back at it, you know, not to be deterred by a result that was sort of less than lofty, and just, you know, have fun and try it again and not take the first time around so serious. So.
Hi, my name is Marianne. I am a musician, interdisciplinary artist from the UK. So I'm tuning in from the UK in the evening, nearly 8 p.m. right now. So yeah, in the breakout groups, I was able to ask about, what did I ask about? I asked about, so we were talking about kind of like self-care and honoring ourselves. And I asked about kind of how we would be, tips on how to be kind to ourselves when we feel like we've kind of made wrong decisions or like have gone down paths that we didn't mean to go down or we didn't want to go down, in terms of like career or personal life. So Deirdre was really, really great in answering that in terms of talking about like radical forgiveness, forgiving ourselves, being kind to ourselves and our past selves, and realizing that we've moved forward from wherever we were then and the information we had then. We've moved forward and can learn from that. So yeah, I found the session today really fantastic as well. Thank you.
Hi everyone. Oh, I can't believe this is our last session. I'm already looking forward to next year. It's really nice to meet everyone. And I told Deirdre that everything everybody said today has been just, you know, quotable for forever. I guess I have one quick question that is something that probably didn't get touched on too much this year. Just all the mentor and everybody's kind of experience with their body image and being in this industry and their experience or a piece of advice they'd like to share, or just something brief that they want to touch on on that subject.
I am wishing that I caught every one of these sessions because there's so much to talk about. So I don't think this should be the last one because I just got here. But that is a huge, huge factor, and I could talk for far too long about it, but it's been a journey for me from the barefoot hippie on stage to feeling the pressure to be glamorous and wear spandex and feathers and sequins and to wherever the hell I am now. But there is not a day through all of that where I didn't think I was too fat. But it never stopped me. That's probably the quickest in a nutshell, but it's such a huge subject, and I am endlessly disappointed by what I see in popular culture and how women are represented and how desensitized we've been to the come hither sexuality of it that is so over the top now, that's just basically fornication simulated in so many of the videos. God, I sound so conservative, but but of course it's the way that women are participating in that too, because of the way the culture is, and how important it is to maintain our sense of self and our love of our and comfort with our bodies, whatever they look like, and it just, well, Deirdre and Krystle, you can certainly talk better about this, but it's just so important, such an important discussion.
Yeah, I don't know. I think what I've come to, and it's sort of the radical self-acceptance topic that we were talking about in the breakout room. What I've come to over the last couple years, especially, is asking myself what I want to model for other people. Because I work in education, anybody I consider being a teacher a type of performance. 100% it is. There's an audience, you know, there are personas, there's a role that you're playing, there's expectations, there's a dynamic, everything is really similar. And in both cases, you have a platform. You literally have a platform of like a raised stage, or even just you're in the classroom, or now on Zoom teaching. This is a platform right here. So I'm always asking myself, what can I model? What do I wish was modeled for me, particularly as, you know, a woman-coded person? What do I wish was modeled for me? And it is just the radical self-acceptance. So, and you know, that looks different for every single person. So I'm not gonna preach what that looks like. I'm not gonna say, you know, don't wear sexy clothes. If you feel amazing when you feel sexy, like fucking go for it. For me, what that looked like in the last couple years is just like completely given up on makeup. I just got to a place where I was done. And that's me. That's my personal journey. I was like, let's just see how this feels. And it feels great. It feels really great. And again, that's personal. That's just part of my journey. I didn't wear very much. I like tiny bit of liner and mascara. We're talking a bit of under eye concealer to conceal that I got like these purple bags under my eyes. And then I was like, so what? So what if everybody sees that I'm tired all the time? You know, so what if everybody sees that I still come to work and I still give my best, even though I'm tired and I've got the purple bags under my eyes? And I for me, it was just like, I want that to be seen. I want it all to be seen. I don't want to be ashamed anymore. I don't want to hide anymore. I want to be out in the light of day. And I want to be modeling that. I want to be modeling that bravery for other people, because I think that it's been healing for me. And it might be, even if it's healing for one other person, then it'll be worth it. So that's sort of whatever that looks, and it'll look different to everybody. For some people, it might mean putting on more makeup. You know, I'm not going to go into like the anti-makeup, anti-sexy thing here. Absolutely not, because it's so personal, and it's about how you feel. It's about how you feel. It's not how others perceive you. It's about how you feel. That's the most important thing.
Thank you very much. And next we'll move on to Nicole.
She says, I'm a percussionist, timpanist with Vancouver Island Symphony, played with Rick Scott there, and writer and marimbist. I never even heard that word, marimbist for Brave New Band. Thanks for the great session.
Cool.
I would just like to invite the mentors for sharing any closing comments.
I just want to do this more. I want to be a part of this community, and of course we need it more than ever. And I don't think that when you talk about radical self-acceptance and being kind to yourself, I don't think we've been doing it well enough during COVID. We keep forgetting that we're in the middle of such a bizarre reality, and that the more we get to connect, even though it's just on this screen here, I so feel you guys, and I so want to be a part of this again in the future. So I'm sorry, this is not the last one.
I just want to say, as much as this feeds all of you, it feeds me so much. I don't want to say more. That's not true. That's subjective. But it is such an honor. It's such a pleasure. It's so wonderful to be here with you all. This was one of the heavier subjects that we have talked about, and I think so necessary. And I'm so happy to have connected and heard and felt all of your guys' women's stories and experiences. This, as much as this is the last session of 2020, I was saying to my tiny breakout group that we can all connect individually, personally, on the Facebook page, in whatever way we want. You know, somebody can spark a little question, and let's all just comment away on whatever platform that we choose to be the best one for us. This doesn't have to end, even though it may just officially formally restart in May. So don't think that from now until then 6 months is, you know, a long time, or 5 months, however long it is. We all have the ability to continue to connect, and genuinely, I want you to reach out, please. I want to talk to you. I want to hear about what you guys got going on. I want to hear your challenges. I want to share my challenges, because again, the biggest thing I want to say is that as much as I am sitting here in a mentor seat, I am a mentee, and I'm constantly a mentee, and I'm learning from every single one of you, and you all have just as much, if not more, experience than I do in a lot of these areas. So as much as I can just talk a lot, I'm learning so much from every single one of you. So please continue to be in touch, and let us continue to plan and build this amazing community.
I second or third everything that's been said. This means so much to me personally to be part of this, and it's incredibly healing and nourishing to be able to get together and have this space. And I'm feeling it. The effects have been cumulatively building over the time. We keep doing these sessions, people keep coming back, new people keep coming in, and we just keep building on all the previous work and the previous and the relationships and the space of trust and sharing. which is the antidote to all the bad stuff, right? The bad stuff happens when we stay silent and isolated, and this is the opposite of that. This is the cure for the isolation. So I think it's really, really important. As the admin just said in the chat, it's really, really useful for us because we're a nonprofit. We rely on grant-based funding. Really important for us to have like testimonials and stuff in writing. If you're able to, I think we've got, what is it? We've got some kind of form. We've got a feedback form now. Yay. So we'll be sending that out to all of you. If you can, even one sentence is like worth $1,000 million to us, priceless, potentially. So yeah, if you can share those experiences so that we can share them with our funders, we can hopefully keep this community going into the future. I did want to share one more thing. I feel like I talked a lot today. I always do.
Keep talking.
There's one more thing that I had on my list, which is just a little tip and sort of like a closing thought. And it's a technique. It's a little technique that I learned at the start of the pandemic when I went to a bunch of Buddhist meditation retreats in March and April over Zoom when the pandemic first started, because I was searching for something. And I found something. I found this amazing teacher, Pascal Auclair, and he shared something that has completely revolutionized my entire relationship with my feelings and how I'm feeling. So I just wanted to share this with you. This is this practice, and it's radical self-acceptance, but it's through the validation of your feelings. So however you're feeling, whether it's positive, negative, whatever, is to feel your feelings, feel what you're feeling, and try to put a name on it. So for instance, right now, the past couple of weeks, I've been feeling exhausted. And normally I would go, oh, I shouldn't feel exhausted. Oh, I'm being lazy. I got to keep working. I'm not done yet. Still more work to do. And I would sort of be aggressive towards myself, towards that feeling. And almost see it as like an antagonist, like, exhaustion, how dare you be here? I've got work to do. I've got stuff to do. Don't you know I'm busy, exhaustion? Of course, exhaustion does know that. That's why it's showing up. So you name the feeling. For the first step is our first instinct is like, push it away. No. Invite it in, be like, okay, who are you? Which one has come to the door? Oh, it's exhaustion. Okay. Or maybe it's anger, or maybe it's sadness, or maybe whatever it is. Once you've got the name and you figured out which one it is, this is the thing, okay? This is the gold. You put 2 words in front of the name of the emotion, and those words are, of course. So, of course, exhaustion. Of course, I feel exhausted right now. Of course, I feel tired right now. Look what I've just been doing in my life. Look at all the stuff. Oh my gosh, look at all these projects I've done. Look at all these courses I've taught. Look at all these people I supported. Of course I'm tired. Of course exhaustion. So basically, this is a process where if we push away our feelings, they become antagonists. They become like our worst enemy. They become this thing that's like bugging us and trying to throw us off. If we open the door and let them in, give them a name and say, of course you're here. You're actually right on time. Of course you would show up right at this moment, see them as a messenger, right? Embrace them, integrate them, absorb what they're trying to tell you, because they're just a messenger. They're just a messenger. And it's a thing that I've said before, that negative emotions and feelings that we think are negative are not actually negative. They're just a messenger. They're showing up at that time for a reason. Invite them in, have a little chat, be like, hey, why are you here right now? Figure that out, and you will get a lot of insight into what you need moving forward, what you need to maybe let go of, what you need to do for yourself. So I think this is in the sort of self-care, how to stay sane as a weirdo creative, but especially right now during the global pandemic. Validate the shit out of your feelings, whatever you're feeling right now. Even if you're feeling nothing and you're just like over it and you're feeling jaded, of course jaded. Of course jaded. It's a global pandemic. Feels like there's no future right now. Of course jaded. So just validate it all. It's all just you. It's all just you talking to yourself and trying to help yourself. So May we all listen to ourselves and take those cues, and may we all keep getting together and sharing these experiences when we can, because this is so important. And I love you all. You all mean so much to me. Keep being fabulous and be really, really, really nice to yourself as much as you possibly can, because that's radical and revolutionary.
My new therapist right there.
We'll all be calling.
Maybe I was thinking if I do 11 more years of emergence, maybe I'll eventually pay for the 11 years of therapy, right? That I paid for out of pocket. So we got to keep this going, folks.
Sure. This could be like a big question, but I guess it's just people answer whatever they would like to at this point. So resilience has been a big theme that's come up for me in lots of different places in like the last few months. What are some, as maybe as a closing thing, what are some of your kind of top tips on resilience? As I guess that's what this whole session is about, but resilience going forward as creative people right now.
I'm unmuted, so I guess I'll start. Naps, good one. Yes, so much rest, and self-care is an overused word, but we need it. And forgiveness, just forgiveness of every little thing. I find myself calling myself the biggest idiot because I lost my debit card yesterday, and I went to go buy something and they only accepted cash and debit, and I had my credit card, my Apple Pay, every other pay that I could use. But I was like, you idiot. And my husband's like, why are you calling yourself an idiot? It's just a bubble tea. Don't worry about it. Forgiveness. If you're bawling your eyes out, of course I'm bawling my eyes out, right? It's in everything. I think it's like a certain amount of however you treat your puppy, your child, your most precious thing, that's how you need to treat yourself. And I think resilience comes from a lot of falling down. And so when you do fall down, just take those scrapes, put a Band-Aid on them, get up and keep going again. And sometimes it's so hard, so don't get up just that moment. Have a nap, have a rest, watch a TV show, then get up again. Just know that as a human, we can constantly have ebbs and flows, and we don't always have to be at this level of like constant accomplishment or whatever. Our energy can be this low and we can still exist and continue. So I think just gentleness, forgiveness, and find your rest, find your areas of the overused word self-care, which is so important, and just one foot in front of the other, no matter what, even if it's a bad day. Sometimes slumps are hard to get out of, says Dr. Seuss. But I think it's just a matter of just keep going. Even if keep going means stop right now. Even if keeping going just means just stopping completely. Just keep doing. Yeah.
The of course trick, that is going to stick with me forever. That is brilliant. Yeah. Love it so much. It might be because of where I am with my career, which is, well, I'm going to do this till I drop, but I have felt I'm a silver lining kind of gal, and I definitely have seen that so much in this time, because it's unprecedented to be able to stop feeding the machine, on the hamster wheel, just always making things happen. To have this kind of a break, it's a little longer than I had in mind, but I still keep feeling the relief of that and the opportunity. There's so many opportunities to do the things that we never think that we have time to do. And of course, it doesn't mean that I'm doing yoga every day, like I said would do for the last 50 years. I mean, there's a lot of shoulds in there that I'm still not getting to, but for me, it has manifested itself in culling stuff from my house, culling possessions, making more space, more room to breathe in my house, because this is mostly where I am. So I have taken that opportunity, and it's, as I've said to Deirdre and Krystle before, it's the world that I can control right now, because there's just so much madness that I can't control. So there's that too. It's kind of my coping mechanism. But I feel like I'm constantly, because of those strategies, which I didn't mean to strategize, it's just what I've fallen into, and appreciating the things stopping, and appreciating the break and the chance to create that space. I feel like I am just continually, slowly recharging, like in a big way, like from the last 40 years kind of way, like just feeling rested and more ready for when the world starts to return to normal.
I would like to give thanks again to the sponsors who made these sessions possible. And thank you, Creative BC, the province of British Columbia, and our host, Red Chamber Cultural Society. And thank you again, mentors, all the mentors who've participated, and all the participants who've registered throughout the year. Please visit our meetup group, our Facebook group, our YouTube channel, our Instagram, and our Twitter.
So wonderful to meet you all, and I'm just in awe of all of you. It's fantastic. Thanks for having me.